When you visit every country in the world, you have to get a lot of visas. Libyan visa has arrived. Sometimes the visa process goes right. Stevie's excited, I can tell. Just crossed the border into Afghanistan. But sometimes the visa process doesn't go that well. Been here almost 2 hours. Nobody from the hotel showed up. They're gonna deport me here on arrival if they don't come soon. So here's the story of how I went from nearly being deported on arrival to being on national TV in Somaliland. So I'm in Ethiopia, getting ready to head out to the Danakil Depression, one of the hottest places on earth. I'd already been in touch with the hotel that would help me with my visa in Hargeisa, Somaliland. They had told me I needed 5 or 6 days. So 2 weeks out, I'm turning in all my documents, pictures, passport info, so they've got plenty of time to process it. So I spend the next week visiting some amazing places in Ethiopia with some lunar-like landscapes. So I reach out to my hotel again in Hargeisa, Somaliland. Still no visa. You can imagine how I'm feeling, waiting for some news about my Somaliland visa, heading off to Eritrea, which Fortune.com had an article saying it's the least connected country in the world, with 0.91% of residents having access to the internet. So while visiting some of the sites in Asmara, Eritrea, I had to stop a bunch of locals to find someone who finally spoke English to help direct me towards an internet cafe. Thought internet cafes were almost extinct. Then I came to Eritrea and they're back. 30 minutes on terribly slow internet in the internet cafe to send one email begging please for the hotel to send out my visa confirmation. My next stop before trying to get into Somaliland is Djibouti.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Djibouti.
Not only a fun name to say, but also one of the most remote countries in the world. So of course I buy a local SIM card on arrival in Djibouti. This time I gotta have one to be in touch with the hotel from Somaliland. So my time in Djibouti is coming to an end. I'm heading out the next morning to Hargeisa, Somaliland, and I still have no visa. As someone who's traveled all over the world, I know a lot of the difficult countries require you to have your visa in hand when you board the plane. The airline staff in Djibouti barely let me get on the plane. I had to convince them and show them the WhatsApp message from my hotel in Hargeisa, Somaliland, promising that they would pick me up at the airport with documents for my visa in hand. Djibouti to Somaliland, here we go. In my head, knowing they delayed 2 weeks, I had no clue whether the visa would be ready or not. I was really hoping not to get in big trouble for not having a visa. Arrived in Hargeisa, Somaliland, when Somalia has a reputation of being one of the most difficult and dangerous places to travel in the world.
Our next story is in Somalia, which has suffered another day of bloodshed.
They're a relatively small force battling a fanatical enemy who are able to hide among the local population.
So there I am heading down into the airport in Hargeisa, Somaliland, without a visa, knowing that there might be problems. So I get into the airport with the federal police and the customs agent. No one there from my hotel, no paperwork for my visa. Been here almost 2 hours. Nobody from the hotel showed up. They're gonna deport me here on arrival if they don't come soon. After a few hours of being in limbo, not being able to enter Somaliland, and hanging with the federal police who were getting ready to deport me out of the country because I had no visa. So finally, a guy showed up with a packet of documents. It had everything we needed to clear me to enter Somaliland. Glad to have made it to Hargeisa, Somaliland here. Mohammed came and picked me up. Happy it worked out with my visa and glad to be here. I was so happy to be able to enter the country and not be deported on arrival. So as soon as I could, I got out on the streets to check out the local life.
Good morning.
Good morning. Call to prayer echoing out here over the city in Hargeisa, Somaliland. Must be sunset. Everyone's heading to the mosque. Although I had to have an armed guard to leave the city of Hargeisa, I did feel pretty good walking the streets. I found the local people in Hargeisa to be quite warm and welcoming.
You take a money picture. Okay?
Saying hello from Hargeisa, Somaliland. New
Somaliland,
friends here
yeah.
at the Camel
Welcome
Market.
with Harobe, Somaliland.
Thank you. And I loved meeting a couple of new friends that showed me around town.
That's Spain.
Doing good, enjoying driving around here. How'd you guess that night?
This here.
One of these new friends spoke English really well, and he worked helping to produce the only English TV program in Somaliland. And I was thrilled when they asked me to be their special guest on the show Good Morning East Africa.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to CBA News. Today I am reporting the arrival of Brian Asher. Actually, he has been to so many countries and he's saying that Africa is beautiful.
You're forgetting that you have the one hiker in our studio. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Pleasure to be here with you.
So that's the story of how I went from nearly being deported from Somaliland to being on national TV on Good Morning East Africa. I'm looking forward to sharing more of my travel experiences from all over the world. So in the comments below, let me know what type of travel story you'd like me to make a video about. If you'd like to watch my fun interview on Good Morning East Africa, go ahead and click the link. If you like my travel videos, hit the subscribe button below. And thanks for your support as I visit every country in the world.